Hello guys, in this video we are going to talk about the texture and the texture loader in Three.js. As I show here, there is actually textures that I loaded previously and convert the textures format to the PNG. So we are going to use these texture in order to actually create a standard material mesh that have these textures on these specific cube that are previously we created. So first of all, actually we need to specify sections in order to create the textures. First of all, we need to use actually texture loader from Three.js. As you remember, we use actually font loader before, and we can use the texture loader in the same way. So actually, let me specify a part for these sections. We create a variable called texture loader. And actually we assign a value of the texture loader, which is one of that loader that we previously mentioned. We create a texture loader, and then after that we use the texture loader.load function to actually load our textures from the local directories. We just only need to actually specify textures once. Actually, we define the texture loader once, and after that we are going to load those textures using the texture loader variable, and we actually specify them into the corresponding textures. And now we use the texture loader.load, and actually we use the directory address. As you remember, when we want to actually load some sources from the outside into our code, we can actually put the file in the static main directory. As you can see, I just copy the directory, and I just pass it as a string into the load function. And if I get the console log of the texture's base color, as you can see, the texture loads successfully, and we can see the metadata in here, the encoding 3000 and some metadata that we are going to use next. So I just wrote these textures. We have 4 different type of textures in here: the base color textures, normal textures, roughness textures, and height textures. From now on, we are going to actually create a mesh and standard materials, and from the previous video, you remember that we just define it as a variable, and create a new mesh standard material. And afterwards, we are going to actually assign those 4 textures in previous lines to the mesh standard material. Actually, we are going to map these materials to the mesh standard material. However, we can actually do it individually, one by one. However, I'm going to do it once all together. We are going to use map column textures base color, and so on. You can see the parameters that we are going to pass. We have 4 different map in here: map, normal map, roughness map, and the last one actually is displacement map, that each of them has the specified textures. And actually there is a value called displacement scale that I'm going to, for now on, set it to 0.1, and we are going to see what is the difference of these displacement scaling in our environment. So we create a material, and now we are going to apply these material texture into our cube that previously we are created. As we can see here, we just actually replace it with our previous material. When we reload, you can see that our environment changes, and as you can see, there is a textures on the cube. Everything is fine. The shadow is applied, and there is a displacement scale that's going to actually put the gap between each dimension of the cubes. And actually we can change this displacement scale. And let's see what is the default value of displacement scale. And as you can see, it is not zero. It is not zero. And you can actually make it zero by just assigning the zero value to the displacement scale factor. As you can see here, our cube get the textures and everything looks fine. So from now on, we are actually going to see different cases. For example, I comment out the normal map, and as you can see here, we actually lost the depth of that textures, and the textures become unrealistic. So we can actually check that what was the normal state was. And as you can see here, this is more beautiful. And as a result of the quality of your textures, your geometry, your mesh will be changed in quality. And now let's see the reference map. Let me save. So as a result, based on your textures, we are not actually going to see the roughness map here. However, we can use a fascinating applications called Mondial 3D.studio. When we are going to actually see different cases, we can go actually to the Mondial Studio. As a fact, we are going to actually create a new material. Here's the options, and as you can see here, let me just copy the textures directory, and this is the color, textures, also all the properties that are available in the documentation. And you can actually change these values and see the live demo of these changes. As you can see here, I just load the textures and the textures just applied in the geometry. I just load the normal map and you can see the changes based on the quality of your textures. Overall, you can actually load your textures, see the different textures inside the Mondial 3D Studio. And you can see that whenever I change these textures correspondingly, we can see different changes inside our material editor sections. Actually, we can change the roughness. The value is between 0 and 1, and whenever actually the roughness goes to 0, you can see that see these changes. For example, roughness, metalness, opacity, and in the metalness you can actually see the textures, and as a result, this website will help you actually to get the idea of materials and textures inside the Three.js.